The reason why actually I hired Peter is I met him and this was his first feature. People were like, man, you can be a first feature director and get a first feature cinematographer. And I thought that wasn't going to happen either. And we met and like we felt we love all the same movies. And in particular, Michael Haneke, Takashi Miike, Joe Wright, you know, much younger director. Have you seen Hannah lately? And, you know, he's really a big fan of not cutting. And I'm not either. And he's not either. And so our shot list was like, oneer. Until people were like, okay, we probably get some coverage.
I think our first shot was a oneer.
Yeah.
The first thing we did was a oneer. I had some advice from some other people that I've worked with to sort of do oneers. And that was good.
Yeah, I like everything to play out. I don't like the camera to tell a story. I like everything to play out as is and let the words and the actors really get involved. But at the same time, you really do need coverage, you know, for story reasons, which I learned, because you can scare off editors, or for just, you know, lack of out of focus shots, you know, which we had, you know, that we had to cut around, and so next time we won't be as ambitious, you know, we'll go out and get the coverage, even if we need to add another day, because we're on a very tight schedule.
Or else they'll listen to me next time, right?
What's that?
They'll listen to me next time.
You know how we became friends, this guy at the end? Because we were not friends when we were shooting. We became friends through this whole 2-year process of doing all the posts and all the traveling together. We became best friends, but the director does not get along with the guy that tells you you can't spend money.
That's right. I love you, Tony.
There's also a very, I think, dramatic texture to the cinematography. I mean, the color and the film stock and all of that. So much that it doesn't even feel contemporary, it feels classic in a way that I think really matches the kind of cinematography you would have found in the 80s, which was just fantastic work. So can you guys discuss, first of all, how you achieve something like that, technically even, but also what kind of material you're referencing, because you guys said that you had similar, you know, favorite films and favorite filmmakers.
Tony? Are you going to your whole 70s photography thing?
No. Well, I mean, in terms of the lighting and the lenses and the film stock, it's all very, very natural. And what I picked up from talking to Tony was that he wanted it to feel like we were really immersed in that world. And so a lot of the work of the photography of the movie was put into production design. And so Chris Stahl, who was our production designer, and Carrie Perkins, we really put them to the test of working extra hard on painting walls, making sure all the colors fit into a certain palette. And so we had looked at some photographers from the late 70s, William Eggleston, Stephen Shore, and Wim Wenders, and taken some of the colors and put them into a palette and gave it to the art department. And they assembled the look, I think, pretty much in front of the camera, and then we just used the lenses and the film stocks, the way that they're designed to work in the cleanest possible way.
As someone who didn't grow up in the 80s, but loves the nostalgia for the era, was it, like, what was the process going about creating the look and the style, especially with production design, for the movie?
Well, we didn't grow up in the 80s either, but we wanted to make an 80s film. We were big John Hughes fans, especially Brandon in particular. He really thought he wanted to tell the story of the 80s the right way. It wasn't a comedy where he just kind of put people that hadn't grown up in the 80s into that, submerge them into that world and create that nostalgia. Mm-hmm. And then we just surrounded ourselves with a bunch of kick-ass people, like from our operators to our production designers to Peter, you know, just like everybody that just dug the material. You know, that's how we did the casting. People came in and really related and responded to material, and ultimately they got parts. And the same with the crew. And they just really got into the whole 80s scene. We played 80s music when we weren't shooting. We had 80s parties. I mean, like, it was just 80s all the way, man. At the same time, we didn't want to hit you over the head with that glam 80s either. We wanted to make it really subtle. But everyone was on the same page. I was just blessed. So